With me is Marc Singer of V. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
You know, as a kid, there were three guys for me. It was Luke Skywalker, Captain Kirk, and Donovan.
Oh,
so,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. On the new V, however, you're a different character.
Right.
And can you talk a little about him? We saw him briefly at the in the finale of this season.
Right.
And presumably we're going to see a little bit more of him.
Right.
You know, should the show be renewed? Can you talk about him and where you'd like to see him go?
Well, I was, you know, I think the best way to describe him is is probably this way. What you see is what you get. I've been kicking around Hollywood for a few years now, and my own body of work speaks to a certain kind of personality and a certain kind of character that I'm most comfortable portraying. And that's usually a man who's with his back to the wall, going to come out fighting. And so I imagine that that's what Lars Tremont is going to find himself doing sooner or later. He's going to have to shed that suit and get out on the street and get down and dirty. And I look forward to it.
What do you think it is about me that has kept it alive in the public consciousness?
You know, I think there are many different aspects of me that keep it viable for a modern audience. One of them is that space is the new Wild West. It's the wide open frontier. We don't know what's out there. We think we have the best of technology, but it's only the best of technology as we understand it for ourselves at this time. And so it's the frontier in which people have to go and put their lives on the line every day just to survive. It's going to call out the most extraordinary aspects of human nature, the best, the worst, the weakest, the strongest. And I think that stories that emphasize that challenge to humanity are always going to have a ready audience for their telling and their retelling.
Do you think there's any political elements now that are different from the original series in some of what it's tackling, some of the issues it's looking at?
I think the original series was very strongly focused on the aspect of fascism, creeping fascism from within our society, and creeping fascism as it might be encouraged from forces outside our own society. In this case, I think the intellectual metaphor that gives it a kind of a poignancy, gives V a kind of poignancy, is the idea that the rest of the universe is evolving, and that we're busy picking ourselves to pieces here on this earth, while things that we might not even be able to imagine are going on just outside the membrane of our consciousness, simply because we stay fixated on wars and the acquisition of wealth.
In real life, what's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear?
What scares you?
My greatest fear always comes from the contemplation of man's inhumanity to man, the destruction of society, the destruction of society by the lack of education, by the lack of emphasis on a worldview, and by the fear of death. Hi, I'm Marc Singer, and you're watching FEARnet.